Hey, what's going on, NMW family? I have something that I really wanted to share with you. I was having a conversation with a new business owner, new entrepreneur, and he's like, "Hey, Joe, I heard that you've coached people to make six figures, and I've heard that you've helped people, make income part time and quit their jobs and different things. And of course, you've been in business for yourself for 10 years, been a full time entrepreneur over 5 years, 7 years." And he was like, what is it for the people who make it and don't? Like, what is that one thing? And when he asked me the question, what's that one thing? I gave him an answer. And it made me think about just being in business and entrepreneurship in general. And I want to share that. So that one thing that we talked about on really what I've personally seen, not like no theory, not a book, what I've personally seen on why people don't make it in their own business or being entrepreneurs. A lot of times it comes down to the survival phase. Most of you guys probably watching this, by the way, are in it. There's very few people on the team or in the industry who get out of the survival phase of being an entrepreneur. And the survival phase, here's the thing about the survival phase, what's so scary, is the survival phase is that first, for some people, that first a couple of months, that first year. For some people, depending on how big your goal is, it could be your first 5 years. You're like, "Joe, whoa, that's crazy. What do you mean my first 5 years?" See, your survival phase, first of all, let me explain this. Your survival phase is so dependent on how big your goal is. Like, for some of you guys, where I'm at right now, you may say, "Dang, that's where I want to be at." But really where my goals are at, I'm technically still kind of like, I'm just getting out of my survival phase as an entrepreneur. And I'm gonna break this down for you. The thing that holds people back in the survival phase is so key. So why most people fail, but I've seen a lot of people not make it as an entrepreneur, is because they're just not used to what it takes to be an entrepreneur. You got to understand our programming. Our programming in life, we've spent so much time for people giving us things or guaranteeing things or being on a schedule or expecting an outcome based off of certain things. Like being an employee, we expect to get paid, every week, every 2 weeks, every month, every year. We expect to have benefits. If I get sick, something's happened, I got sick, I can take off of work and still get paid. That was our expectation. And that's how a lot of us was raised and how we made income. And then when you become an entrepreneur, that guarantee or that repetitive action that you're used to, you don't realize that when you put time into your own business or being an entrepreneur, there is not a predictive action or result when you first get started. You have actions and you have results, but it's not predictive on like when it's going to happen for you or when the time is. And when I've seen so many people, good people, by the way, not make it in the survival phase of being an entrepreneur, it's truly because they just really quit too soon. I've had a lot of good people. Maybe you're going to watch this, you're one of the people. Maybe you're right there at that point right now. You're like, "Dude, I don't even know if I've been here. I don't know if this is going to work for me." And you could be completely brand new. And my goal is to change your perspective of if this is going to work for you. I never got into being an entrepreneur for myself and said, if this is going to work. I made the choice that it will work for me. People fail in the survival phase because they're just not used to what it takes. Because they're programming, they have to download a new program in the system, and they got to get rid of the old one, and it's very difficult. Your brain, by the way, I'm not like a psychologist, and I'm sitting here saying I know all this about neuroscience, but I did a little bit of research, and it's so important because what our brains are built to do is to survive, and once it gets used to doing a certain thing, a pattern, that's what it likes. This is why when people are addicted to drugs or alcohol and then they stop, or caffeine. I remember, being very addicted to caffeine at one point, and then you have like this little relapse and you get a headache. It's not because something's wrong. It's just because your brain's just not used to depending on whatever it needed to get through the day. a lot of us don't realize that we're addicted to so much comfort, and we're addicted to other people being, paying us for a job well done and getting a pat on the back, and that we don't realize that we're so addicted to it that when you jump into entrepreneurship and you don't get the result for just doing action immediately, and you don't get it on that every Friday, every first of the month, you don't get those vacation times when you want to take a break, you want to take Sundays off and all these different things. When you do not get that, you think that it's the business, it's being an entrepreneur, this is not for me. In all reality, it's just something you're not used to. But that's where people fail at. They fail because they're just not used to it. Here's my encouragement to you. I want to encourage you to understand that one of the reasons why me and Crystal are where we're at is not because we've always been great at this. It's not because we've always had everything right. Like I told you, I still feel like I'm in my foundational phase of being an entrepreneur because I have very big goals. But we understood that whatever we're dealing with right now, however it feels, even if it's uncomfortable, that it's actually part of the process. Matter of fact, if it was too easy, I would be actually afraid to do it, because if it comes too easy, then that's not really a part of the process. I got like all these books around me. And when you read all these books about entrepreneurship and building, it rarely comes easy, but it's always worth it. The price that you'll pay today is worth it. You just got to get out the survival phase. That's it. You just got to get out the survival phase. Let me tell you this. I want to encourage you to understand that on the other side of the survival phase, that's where the peace is at. On the other side of the survival phase, that's where the joy is at. On the other side of the survival phase, I'm living that dream life. On the other side of the survival phase, it's so crazy. On the other side of the survival phase, all the things that you hope for, you wish for, you prayed for, they're typically on the other side of that. You're just one decision away from this, like literally deciding not to ever quit. Again, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to make it. I'm not going to quit. You're just one decision away. When you make that decision, you will realize that at the other side of the survival phase, that dream vacation is there. Bora Bora, Thailand, trip to Spain. On the other side, that dream car. On the other side, the tuition for private school for your kids. On the other side, taking your parents to that cruise and being in flying first class. On the other side of having peace that passes all understanding, and on the other side of it is having a couple $100,000, $1 million in your bank account, and having cash flow coming in and assets where, you know what, nothing's about money anymore. You don't make decisions based on how much money you have. You make decisions based on who you are. You don't compromise. On the other side, you don't compromise your faith. On the other side, you don't compromise your morals. On the other side of it, of survival, is everything that you're looking for. Everything that you want. I want to encourage you to keep following us, because one thing that we're doing is we're not in the survival phase. Like, as far as we're getting out of the survival phase. I'm never going to quit in the survival phase. It's just not in me. We're the type of people that's going to be with you. We're going to be with you, and we're going to walk you through. We're going to walk you out of it. We're going to see you on the other side. I can't wait for your dreams to come true. Remember, with New Modern Wealth, man, it's not about if you came from a wealthy family. It's all about if a wealthy family is going to come from you. Doesn't matter. So let's do it. Let's just do it. See you guys later. Bye-bye.